Hey, welcome to Industrial Live with your host Jeff Heine, where it's our goal to make you more money. Now today we are talking about the trends and the technology currently coming online that's going to affect the demand for industrial real estate in the future. And what that means for you is the price. What is happening today that's going to affect the price of your real estate? And how can you see these trends before they occur so that you can make better money-making decisions? Let's start by talking about the elephant in the room, e-commerce. Okay. It is no secret that e-commerce is here to stay. It's been growing 10% year over year for the past 9 years. And it's been diverting demand from primarily retail space into industrial. More so, it shows no signs of slowing down. And in fact, it's predicted to speed up significantly. Because currently, today, e-commerce sales are only about 10% of all retail sales. But that's predicted to grow to 17% in the next 2 years, a 70% growth. But that's still only 17%. It could very well grow well beyond that. Now, as we've mentioned in the past, e-commerce is demanding warehouse space, obviously, but particularly warehouse space with a good, convenient location that's close to the core population base, okay? And the reason that this is particularly important is because the supply of warehouses close to the main population base in downtown Denver, it's a relatively steady supply. It's already been built out. There's not much land where you could just come in and build a new warehouse right next door. Yet at the same time, the population is growing faster than the amount of warehouse space. So what that means is you have a steady supply, but you have an increasing demand. That's going to result in a higher price point for your industrial real estate, especially if it's close to downtown Denver where it's harder to build. Okay, let's touch on the next one, self-driving cars. Okay, so this one, I have the lowest confidence about how it's going to affect industrial real estate in particular, but it's going to play a role. So let's just talk about it for a minute. So here's what we're looking at. When people no longer physically need to drive their car, when they can just hang out in their car and maybe play a game or answer emails, take a nap, whatever it may be, that's going to give people the opportunity to put up with a longer commute. It's not going to be as much of a pain for them to do a 1-hour commute, so it's more likely to result in an increased distance between where people live and where they work, right? That long commute is no longer a pain in the butt. So that could mean that we might have manufacturing facilities on the outskirts of Denver where it's easier for people to commute to, or it could mean, I think this is more likely, that people are going to choose to live on the outskirts of town and they're going to commute in for work. Could be either one, could be a combination, of course, but the main takeaway here is that it's going to increase the distance between where people live and where they work. The exact result of that, I'll leave up to you and your interpretation. Let's touch on the next one. Okay. The reshoring of American manufacturing. Now, I'm sure you've heard of offshoring, and this is the reverse of that. Because as technology advances, and robotics technology in particular, as it becomes more cheap and available and viable for manufacturing, it's going to increase the labor cost imbalance that we're currently seeing. And here's what I mean by that. The main reason that companies choose to offshore their manufacturing is because labor is so expensive here and it's so much cheaper overseas. Eventually, when robotics becomes cheap enough that it can undercut the cost for that labor, it's going to make sense to use robots instead of human labor. And it's actually going to be cheaper to have those robots here in America because the robots are made here in America. It doesn't make any sense for you to make a robot here to ship it overseas so that you can ship those goods back here, right? Companies are going to realize that it makes financial sense to bring their manufacturing plants back onto US soil. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to bring back American manufacturing jobs, but it will increase the demand for American industrial real estate. So there you go, guys. I hope you got something useful out of it, found it interesting. Before you go, let me know, what do you want covered here? What is holding you back from making more money? What topic would you like a full and complete explanation of? Type your question in the comments below, and we might just cover it on an upcoming episode. Thank you for tuning in to Industrial Live. I'm your host, Jeff Heine. I'll see you next time.